watching KSL Sports Live.
Thanks for staying up with us. What a night. Nothing but football for the next half hour on Game Night Live.
Yeah, Texas Tech making their first ever trip to Provo as the Cougars try to get back on the right track in the win column. And their first round of the high school football playoffs are now in the books. We have the best highlights on the way.
But you know where we're going to start. A dramatic night in L.A., a top 20 matchup in Southern California. Utah visiting USC for the 14th and final time as Pac-12 opponents.
Yeah, the game between the two has been decided by a single score 5 times, just 1 point twice, including that thriller last season with conference realignment kicking in next year. This is possibly the final time these two teams ever face each other. The Utes got the ball first, and of course, it's Sione Vaki with the home run play on the receiving end of Bryson Barnes' pass, 53 yards for the 7-0 lead. Now, we know USC has the offense to answer and answer quickly. Marshawn Lloyd, 45-yard run. It's going to tie this game up at 7. The Utes fell behind 14-7, but with 2 minutes left in the first, Bryson Barnes on the QB draw. 10-yard touchdown ties it at 14. Second quarter, more Sione Vaki. In the pass game, too. Yes, please. Barnes to Vaki. This one's going to go for a 36-yard gain. He had 98 yards receiving just in the first half. 4 plays later, 4th and 1. Utah going for it, but Barnes is stopped for a loss, so it's a turnover on downs. But you know what? Utah's defense would answer, too. Connor O'Toole picking up where he left off last week. Another sack. This one to end the half with the game tied at 14. All right, let's crank it up a notch. Utah's first drive of the second half took 5.5 minutes off the clock and ends with Bryson Barnes throwing the touchdown to Landon King. The Utes have a 21-14 lead in L.A. 3 plays later, a big-time turnover. Marshawn Lloyd loses the ball. Cole Bishop, he's there to pounce on it. Cue up more Sione Vaki. We may be watching this kid save the Utes season. The 15-yard touchdown reception from Barnes. Utah with a 2-touchdown lead going into the final quarter. It almost feels like the only way Utah can lose this game now is if they make some mistakes. Well, this is a big mistake. Barnes throws the pick 6. The lead is now cut to 5, 28-23. After a USC field goal to cut the lead to 5. Utah just needs to milk the clock down, but are unable to. They punt it to Zachariah Branch. 61 yards later, USC is back in business, and you know they've got a Heisman Trophy winner. Caleb Williams gives the Trojans the lead with an 11-yard touchdown run. Is there enough time on the clock for Barnes? As the seconds tick down, he scrambles and has some room and goes 26 yards to the 19-yard line. That would set up Utah with a chance to win.
Becker for the win. It is good! The Utah Utes sink USC once more!
Another thriller between the Utes and the Trojans. Utah winning 34-32. Barnes finishing with 235 yards passing, 3 touchdowns to Caleb Williams, 256 yards, and no touchdowns. Vaki, 68 yards rushing, 149 yards receiving, and 2 touchdowns in that big win. Now, after the game, the question now, can Barnes lead the Utes to a Pac-12 championship? Because it's on his shoulders. Kyle Whittingham telling media after the game that Cam Rising will not play for the remainder of the season. And it's not just Rising, but also tight end Brant Keithy and linebacker Lander Barton, who suffered his season-ending injury in tonight's game.
All right, October 18th, 1940. It was on that date that BYU and Texas Tech had their one and only meeting on a football field. The Red Raiders pulled off a 21-20 victory on that day. Well, the Cougars have had to wait 83 years for the rematch. Finally, homecoming in Provo. Texas Tech came in with a 3-4 record. BYU 129th out of 130 teams in FBS football and rushing offense. Second play of the game, L.J. Martin rips off a 55-yard run. It's helped set up the Cougars' first touchdown. Keaton Slovis finds Chase Roberts wide open in the end zone for a 7-0 BYU lead. The defense came up with some big plays, none other than this. Texas Tech fumbles. Eddie Heckard comes up with it in the end zone. It's a touchdown, and after 1 quarter, BYU has a 14-0 lead. Texas Tech cuts that lead in half with a 72-yard touchdown pass, but BYU would respond with this. Darius Lassiter with an incredible one-handed catch. Chase Roberts' catch at Arkansas now has company. That was special, and Lassiter's rewarded later on the drive. Slovis finds him for the 4-yard score. BYU led 24-7 at the half. Let's go to the second half. BYU would get the dub with some big plays on special teams and defense. Tyler Batty forces the fumble on the punt return. Punter Ryan Rico With the fumble recovery, the play set up BYU's only points in the second half. A Will Farron 41-yard field goal. 27 points was plenty. Ethan Slade with one of 3 interceptions for the BYU defense. 63,500 fans go home happy on homecoming. The Cougars with a 27-14 win. BYU never trailed. They were outgained by Texas Tech, 289-277. Doesn't matter. 150 yards rushing for the Cougars, the most rushing yards in a game this season. BYU now travels to Austin to take on the 8th-ranked Texas Longhorns next Saturday.
For the last 2.5 games, Utah State has turned back to Cooper Legas, quarterback, because of an injury to McKay Hillstead. And Legas, he's led them to a pair of victories, but today Hillstead's health is back, and so is his starting job. The Aggies taking on San Jose State. Utah State in a familiar situation, falling down early, down 14 in the second quarter. That's when Razul Faison scores to cut the lead in half. Then Hillstead to Micah Davis. And this game is tied up. Hillstead completed 11 of 14 passes in the first half for 100 yards in that score. It was 14 all at the half. In the second half, San Jose State scores on their first 2 drives. And then Hillstead throws his second interception of the game. That would lead to another Spartans touchdown. The Aggies were in a hole, 35-14. They did get into the end zone again. Hillstead to Jalen Royals on the 20-yard touchdown, but that was it. The Aggies fall short, 42-21. Hillstead did finish 17 of 29 for 160 yards, 2 touchdowns, 2 picks. Royals, 60 yards on 4 catches with the touchdown. But the 3 turnovers were the difference tonight. Utah State now 3-5 on the season. Southern Utah taking on Austin Peay. End of the first half. SUU's Hail Mary is answered. Gabe Nunez somehow comes down with that. Thunderbirds led by 21. But Austin Peay scored 28 straight to take the lead in the fourth. 1:05 on the clock. Justin Miller to Joshua Accord holds on for the score. We go to overtime. Both teams scoreless. In OT, Caleb Graham drills a 40-yard field goal to give SUU the lead. Austin Peay's turn. Mike DeLalo to Trey Goodman. There it is. That's the win. 48-45 over the T-Birds.
Another wild ending. Utah Tech at North Alabama. Back of the end zone. Oh, this close. Heartbreak for Utah Tech. They lose 31-30. Weber State on the road against Eastern Washington. Fourth quarter, Richie Munoz gives the Wildcats a 3-point lead. Now in at quarterback with a 7-yard run. Eagles would answer less than 2 minutes later. They take the lead for good here, and the Wildcats have now lost 3 straight games. We have to take a short break. When we come back, it's playoff time.
Did somebody say playoffs?
Yeah. Take a shot. Roberts has it. Touchdown, Bear River.
39 points in 1 quarter. Bear River and Spanish Fork put on a show in our Game Night Live Game of the Week. And Alta doing everything they can to send their coach out a winner. That's unbelievable.
He just got that trimmed up today. I like that.
Oh, that's amazing. If you love high school football, you'll also love this weekend's playoff edition of the Game Night Live highlight reel coming up.
A KSL Sports presentation. Game Night Live kicks off now. Sponsored by UCCU.
10 weeks came and went quickly. Now it's playoff time. Win or go home.
Yeah, we have the best from Class 5A. Can the Orem Tigers make another deep run in the playoffs? They always seem to. And just 2 games from Class 6A. Those highlights are all on the way.
We're going to start 4A in Spanish Fork, the site of our Game Night Live Game of the Week. Bear River and Spanish Fork, both exciting teams to watch, but fell short in several close games this year.
Yeah, the playoffs feel like a fresh start for both of these teams. They've embraced that opportunity, and they put on a show in the first round of the 4A playoffs.
Here we go. This wasn't much scoring in the first half. Each team would get a touchdown and a field goal. 10-10 at the half, but Spanish Fork did have this sweet play. Ethan Beckstead with a stiff arm and a steamroll. It set up a field goal. Let's go to the third quarter. That's where things get crazy on the scoreboard. Owen Olson to Talon Marble for the Bears. 32-yard touchdown. Bear River up 17-13. Just moments later, Bear River gets the interception. Brody Miller has it. He had a big game. And then Marble gets into the end zone again. Tough run and catch. 2 scores in 30 seconds. Then on fourth down, the Bears strike again. Olson to Jace Roberts. 32-yard touchdown. More from the third quarter. We're not done. Spanish Fork's turn with 6 seconds left. McKay Smith to Nixon Warren, the freshman, with a 60-yard touchdown. The teams combined for 39 points in the third quarter. It's a 5-point game entering the fourth, and Jace Roberts does that. An incredible catch on 3rd and 13. How did he hold on to that in double coverage? It would set up a touchdown. The Bear River defense forced 4 interceptions, 2 in the 4th. Bear River will advance to face number 1 seed Skyview, a rematch in the 4A second round.
12th-seeded Mountain Crest was hosting 21st-seeded Tooele. The Mustangs scored first on a pick-6, and then again here. This 80-yard run by Dax Benson. Benson had 3 touchdowns in the game. And then we've got a top play nominee out of this one. Mountain Crest gets a hand on Tooele's punt. Tooele is saying, get away from the ball. But you know what? Thatcher Phelps, he doesn't. He scoops it up for Mountain Crest, takes it back for the score. Mountain Crest wins easily, 63-14.
What a play. The Dixie Flyers hosting the Logan Grizzlies in 4A action. First quarter, Rand Sawyer, halfback pass to David Barshie. It's a 37-yard touchdown and a 7-0 lead. Then on the next drive, Sawyer is the receiver on this deep ball from Wyatt Truman. It's a 60-yard touchdown. Dixie rolls into the second round. They get a 55-13 win.
15th-seeded Cedar hosting Pineview. Cedar goes up 13-0 after Everett Kelling throws the touchdown here to Logan Wisłowski. Pineview is down 20-0 at half. Adam Moore, the 15-yard touchdown to Matt Costa makes it a 20-7 game. But a minute later, Cedar's right back in the end zone. 48-yard pass from Kelling to Jonathan Jeter. Cedar advancing with a 34-23 win.
After 35 years in coaching, Alta High head coach Ale Mateo has decided to call it a career at the end of the season. Friday night was his final home game as head coach. His team determined to extend his retirement for at least one more game. Hawks hosting the Highland Rams. Right before the half, Highlands' Manasa Pella with a pass to Siosefa Brown for the touchdown. It makes it 10-6 Highland at the half. Let's go to the third quarter. Alta looking for answers, and they find them. Kepa Niumetolu to Wyatt Johnson for the 48-yard touchdown. He's going to make it 13-10. Alta kept it rolling in the fourth. Niumetolu to Nolan Lonis for a 24-yard touchdown. And Alta would go on to win this game 34-10. They advance.
Can Orem make another deep playoff run? They're opening up as the 17th seed against Wasatch. First quarter, Orem's Feletti Longi. He's going to go in from 8 yards out, makes it a 13-0 ball game. Second quarter, they're up 13-3. Mac Ellison finds Kawea Kana. That's a 68-yard touchdown. Then Asher Young on defense is going to come up with a big-time interception and a big-time return, 70 yards to the house. The Tigers advance. They'll face number 1 seeded Timpview next week.
Kearns opening up the playoffs on their home field with the 15th seed hosting East. First quarter, Kearns opens up the game with his Techie Finau 11-yard touchdown. It's 7-0 Kearns, but then East takes over. Second quarter, Damian Crosby on the run is going to throw it 35 yards to TJ Tate for the touchdown. East takes a 14-7 lead. A few seconds left in the half. Crosby's going to put it in the air, and Damian Otukolo makes one man miss. Then he's going to make 3 more cutbacks. This is an incredible run. This is also a top 5 nominee. East wins this game 33-21.
Taylorsville and Woods Cross. Woods Cross put up 31 first quarter points. Carter Freestone taking the opening kick all the way back. A 68-yard return for the touchdown. And, you know, it was just steamrolling from there. Later in the first, Lake Smoot is going to roll out. He's got eyes on Crew Cornelius. 45-yard touchdown. Woods Cross scored a bunch in this one. They put 52 on the board in their big win.
More 5A playoff action. Bonneville hosting Hunter. Eventful second quarter. Bonneville quarterback Peyton Tula to Ashen Archuleta. Hunter should have swept the leg. Instead, Lakers up 17-7. 90 seconds later, Hunter answers. Uluwaki Taukiuvea to Lucas Heflin for a 20-yard touchdown. And in the third quarter, Bonneville extends their lead. Tala to Kyler Welch. The Lakers hold on for a 24-21 win.
12th seed West Jordan at home against Northridge. Tavita Makaafi scoring on the short run to give West Jordan the 14-0 lead. Late third quarter, Northridge is inching closer in this one. Braxton Barber to Jackson Fresh. It's a 14-12 game. West Jordan is able to put it away, though. Kyle Curtis to Jackson Harris. And West Jordan advancing with the 21-12 win.
The 20 seed Viewmont seeking upset at Maple Mountain. The Vikings had a 7-0 halftime lead when Maple Mountain woke up. Third quarter, Easton Merrill makes an outstanding catch. Falling back with the defender draped on him, still grabs it for the score and a 14-7 lead. Later in the third, Banks Jackson thinking about running with it. He's good at that, but he's going to keep his eyes downfield and throws the touchdown to Sawyer Leafson. Maple Mountain moves on. They rally for a 35-13 win.
In the 6A state playoffs, 14 of the 18 teams in the bracket were given first-round byes. For those other 4 teams, a chance to start a Cinderella run, possibly. We'll start with Westlake at Fremont, a pair of 2-9 teams looking for that playoff win. Second half, Westlake down 7-3 when Aiden Bayless finds Mason Jenkins on an 18-yard touchdown, and Westlake has a 10-7 lead. Westlake really starts to gain the momentum here. Bayless is going to find Griffin Mausili for the 17-yard touchdown, and they scored 28 points in the second half to get the 31-14 win.
The other 6A game, Copper Hills hosting Layton. Copper Hills driving, and Nate Kitchen finds the end zone, making it 14-0 Grizzlies. Layton would respond under 2 minutes and a half, and Madden Sargent to Gabe Lopez for the touchdown. Layton still down 14-10 at the half, but Layton starting to get the juice going. Sargent throws it up and connects with Lopez again on a 50-yard touchdown. Layton goes on to win this game 24-20.
How about North Sevier and Milford? Milford put up 35 in the second quarter, and they keep the scoring going in the third. Griffin Walker turns the screen pass into a 70-yard catch and run, and he wasn't done. On the defensive side of the ball, Walker will pick off the slant and head in for the 6. Milford will take on Duchesne next week in the quarterfinal. We'll be right back.
And that is a beautiful mullet I see in the middle of our screen there. That is unbelievable.
He just got that trimmed up today. I like that.
What's a Mississippi mudflap doing in Bear River, Utah? We'll call that mullet a water boy waterfall.
His hair is blessed by an Alaskan medicine man.
Our Game Night Live game of the week, the 6A second round. Oh boy, this is going to be good. The 8 versus 9 seed in the 6A playoffs. Good luck picking this one. Bingham, it's 6 p.m. at Bingham High School, Bingham and Syracuse. We'll see you.